Hi everybody, today we are doing lesson 10.1.4 part 1, and in this part of the lesson we are going to focus on finding the volume of a sphere. So a sphere is any shape that is really a ball, three-dimensional circle. If you go to the center point, from the distance from the center out to the edge of the circle is the same anywhere around the entire sphere. So, I like to always show you an example of the shape before you look at my drawing of one, because we all know art is not my strong point. So here we have a sphere. You can see the distance around the sphere is indicated here by this line around the middle. Looks like the equator going around the Earth. And the other significant part of the sphere is the radius. So if you were in the very center of the sphere and you went straight out to the edge, that would be the radius. The formula for finding volume of the sphere is 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. So I'm going to grab my calculator and we will get started on our first example problem. Example 1. We are asked to find the volume of a sphere with the radius of 10 centimeters. So let's set up our formula. Volume equals 4/3 times pi, which will substitute 3.14 in for that, times the radius cubed. The radius of our sphere in this example is 10 centimeters, and we have to cube that. Okay, now we're going to walk through the steps of simplifying. Using order of operations, we're going to start with the exponents. So 4/3 and 3.14 will stay just the way they are for now. 10 cubed, or 10 times 10 times 10, is 1,000. Now we are going to multiply 3.14 times 1,000. Again, I'm going to leave 4/3 just as it is. Multiply 3.14 times 1,000 and we get 3,140. Okay, I'm going to think of that as a fraction, 3,140 over 1. So to simplify the next step, we are going to multiply 4 times 3,140, and then we are going to divide by the denominator, which is 3. So let's do that in 2 steps. 3,140 times 4 equals 12,560 divided by 3. Now we'll simplify that by dividing, and I get, you can see it's a repeating decimal answer, so I'm going to be rounding that to the nearest tenths place. 4,186.6 repeating would round to 6, 6 would round up to 7, so 7/10 is my approximate answer when I round to the nearest tenth. And our dimensions are in centimeters, so the volume of this sphere is 4,186 and 7/10 centimeters cubed. Okay, for example 2, we are asked to find the volume of a basketball. And we're told that the diameter of the basketball is 10 inches. That's not exactly precise. The diameter of a regulation basketball, I think, is 9.6 inches, but just for ease of the problem, I rounded it up to 10 inches for our volume. So let's plug in the numbers that we know. Volume equals 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. Well, the diameter is 10, which means our radius is half of that, or 5 cubed. Okay, let's go ahead and simplify using order of operations, doing our exponents first. Okay, 5 cubed. 5 times 5 is 25. Times 5 again is 125. Now I'm going to use my calculator to help me multiply 3.14 times 125. That is equal to 392.5. Okay, I'm going to move over here just to get myself some more space to keep working this problem. So for the next step of calculating volume, we have 4/3 times 392.5, which I'm going to write as a fraction. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 392.5 and 3 times 1. Which gives me 1,570 over 3. Now I'm just going to divide by 3 to get my answer. Again, we have a repeating decimal, so I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. I will not be rounding up this time. So the volume of this basketball, whose diameter is 10 inches, is 523.3 inches cubed. Let me make my decimal a little more prominent. And there we have our answer for example 2. Our last example is example 3, and it says a sphere's volume is 36 pi feet cubed. Find its radius. So this one is a little bit more of a challenge. They give us the volume. We have to use the formula and work through it to solve for the radius. So I'm going to start, just like I start all the other times, by writing the formula. Volume equals 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. Now, because they gave me the volume, what we usually think of as the answer, I'm going to be plugging that into my formula, and that is the volume. So when I substitute the volume into the formula, it goes right here where volume is. So it's going to look like this. 36 pi equals 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. First thing I'm going to do in this problem is a form of fraction busters when we try to eliminate fractions from our equations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by the common denominator, and because we only have one fraction whose denominator is 3, the common denominator is 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3. 3 times 36 pi is 108 pi. When I multiply this side by 3, I have the 3's cancel out, leaving me with 4 times pi times the radius cubed. Okay. We are trying to solve for the radius this time, or we're trying to isolate the r. So I'm going to divide this side by pi, and of course whatever I do to one side I have to do to the other. So when I divide each side by pi, they cancel each other out. Now my equation is starting to look a little more simple. What I'm left with is 108 equals 4 times the radius cubed. We're still trying to get r by itself or solve for r, so our next step would be to divide by 4 on each side. That gives me r cubed equals 108 divided by 4. 27. Okay, last step. R cubed equals 27. You can stop right here and just ask yourself, what number times itself 3 times equals 27? Or if we were to put a math symbol on it, we are looking for the cube root of 27. So the radius is equal to 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 again is 27. So here we have our answer. The radius of the sphere is 3 feet. That is the end of 10.1.4 part 1. There will be a part 2 to this video, so that will be coming up next. Have a great day, you guys.